Thank you for tuning in to Outdoor Recreation on the Road, Leading to More Permanent Locations, as part of the Move United Leadership Conference. My name is Bill Snyder, and I am the Chief Financial and Operating Officer with Move United, formerly Disabled Sports USA. We'd like to thank the Bob Woodruff Foundation for their longstanding commitment and support, allowing us to bring you this virtual opportunity. For those who missed any previous sessions, recordings, and session resources can be found on the conference webpage. This will be the same webpage you used to RSVP for this session. Before turning the show over to our speaker today, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. All attendees will be on mute to minimize distractions. Please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit questions rather than the chat. Feel free to use the chat function to introduce yourselves, though. Make sure to send your chat messages to all panelists and attendees to introduce yourself to the whole group. Also, this session is slated for 30 minutes, and we may not have time for questions and answers. If we do, we will take care of those. But if not, the transcript of the Q&A will be passed along to Chelsea. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chelsea Elder. She's the Executive Director with Adaptive Ventures. She helped by starting out with Adaptive Ventures and helped create the organization's Dragon Boat program before being hired on full-time as the Military Operations Manager. Chelsea now serves as Executive Director, where she oversees all aspects of the organization.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. As Bill said, my name is Chelsea Elder. I'm the Executive Director of Adaptive Ventures. For those that don't know the Adaptive Ventures organization, our mission is to provide progressive outdoor sports programs to improve quality of life for children, adults, and veterans with physical disabilities and their families. What we will cover today, the essentials of mobile and remote programming. Adaptive Ventures provides a mobile program service as well as ongoing programs located in the states that our offices are located in Colorado and Illinois. But then we also have a mobile program utilizing over 15 trailers to travel the country to provide services in over 35 states. Today we'll look at the opportunities, logistics, challenges, and sustainability in regards to mobile and remote program delivery. Why should we provide mobile and remote programs as adaptive sport agencies? Well, it provides us an opportunity to serve more individuals and their families in unserved and underserved areas of the country. It allows us to enhance the availability of services, including the number of sport opportunities there are, and also the collaborations that exist to enhance delivery of programs that already exist through shared resources and partnerships. It also allows us to increase the community engagement and also to create sustainable program offerings that otherwise may not exist if we did not go and establish them in the first place. So specifically for Adaptive Ventures, why we feel that a mobile program is a good way to deliver services. We are able to serve over 2,900 individuals each year and their families, and this does not include the big national events where we do not collect data. This is programs where we are going out and we're serving 10 to 15 participants in a site program, working with either a rehab hospital, another nonprofit organization, adaptive sport organization, park and rec service, VA medical center, what have you. It also allows us to provide more services. So we have a program staff team of 5 people, and we provide over 500 programs per year. It also allows us to increase our community engagement. Our organization partners with over 170 partners, including rehab centers, VA medical centers, veteran service organizations, and other adaptive sport agencies. And it also helps us to create sustainable programming. We have 2 offices, one in Colorado and Illinois, and then we also provide programs through our mobile program to 35 states and currently have 10 remote programs that we facilitate from our national headquarters. Here are a few examples of the Adaptive Ventures mobile programs that we provide. In the top corner, left-hand corner, you can see this is a multi-sport program that we provide in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's an out and back program that we provide in one day, where we provide kayaking, paddleboarding, cycling, and climbing. And then in the top right-hand corner, there's one of our intro to cycling clinics and trainings that is provided in New Mexico to our VA partners at the Raymond G. Murphy VA Medical Center. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our Intro to Cycling in Puerto Rico. This is actually a program where we went and established a remote location where we provided a trailer and over 15 adaptive bicycles, and it's led by a volunteer on a regular basis after we left, and then we help continue to facilitate the program with resources and staffing from our national headquarters. In the bottom corner, right-hand corner, you will see that's a picture of our Phoenix Team Blue Dragon Boat team that we provide in partnership with Ability 360 Sport and Fitness Center and the Arizona Dragon Boat Association. And so this is a program where we help to train and provide equipment in partnership with the other organizations to then facilitate the program remotely from our office and then in partnership with the other partners. So how to plan and execute. So the first thing we want to do is to research. So we want to research what the current offerings are in the areas that we are interested in providing services. So we first want to make sure that we're not going to be duplicating services, and we want to see what the need is in that location. And we want to be really intentional about what we are offering and who we're reaching out to. So a lot of times a simple Google search is not always the best way to research the area. We want to call folks in the area, get a hold of adaptive athletes in the area, rehab facilities, rec therapists, other adaptive sport agencies, and see what the needs are. That also helps us to identify the key organizations, individuals, and partners that we may utilize to facilitate the program in the future. So we want to really be strategic about the way that we look at these areas that we are interested in providing services so that we, one, are not stepping on other people's toes, but two, providing something that's going to be meaningful and well attended. And then we want to prepare. So in preparation, Adaptive Ventures, we create MOUs with the folks that are going to help us to facilitate the program. So it may be as simple as reaching out to the rec therapist at the VA Medical Center and giving them kind of a plan of what we are going to do and allowing them to come back to us and say, we'd like to do it a few more days than what you proposed. We want to have this feature and not that feature. So for example, one of our 3-day cycling clinics that we do with the VA Medical Centers, we usually do the first day is providing basic bike maintenance, safety, fitting the cycles, and then a short ride. We might do a deep dive training with the VA rec therapist there. And then the second day, we go a little bit deeper. We give everybody the opportunity to try a variety of adaptive cycles, go on a couple of short rides, and then the third day, we may end with what we call a graduation ride. So our partner may want to tweak that a little bit. So those are things that we want to be aware of ahead of time. So creating a planning document helps us to do that. So in some cases, we might need to do a site visit. So ironing out the venue details and making sure that, there's no hiccups that are going to happen. If this area, when we did the site visit, maybe it might be flooding during that time of year. We want to make sure that we know these things and we have done our research ahead of time so that we don't end up getting to the location and not having an idea of some of the challenges that might exist. We also want to look at following an outreach plan. And outreach plans, Adaptive Ventures has a 3-step outreach plan that we use, but we modify it depending upon the location that we're going to. Some of the cultures that we work with in different areas of the country are very different. And so we might need to use a different strategy. For example, when we go up to Cheyenne, Wyoming, we use a lot of mailed marketing materials and banners in front of the locations that we're going to provide services. Versus some other locations that we go to, for example, say Florida, we might use a lot more email communications or social media, just depending upon how we're trying to reach the people that we want to serve. And then the big thing is communication. So communicating with the key players, who is going to be in charge, who is going to help us with the venue selection, who's going to help with last minute needs that come up when we're on the location. Are there volunteers in the area that would like to be involved? We want to just make sure that we have that ironed out ahead of time. And then in delivery of the program. We want to make sure that we're bringing the right equipment and as much equipment as possible to make sure that we're able to serve folks on the fly if somebody did not register ahead of time, and we want to make sure that we have the availability to serve them. So a lot of times we're bringing as much equipment as possible and lots of different garage innovation style materials so that we can accommodate people on the fly in those programs. We also want to provide quality training to the folks that we're going to serve. So if we are looking to set up a sustainable program, we want to be looking at who's in the area, a physical therapist, occupational therapist, rec therapist. If we're going and doing a cycling program, we're going to be looking at the bike shops that are local. If we're going to a climbing gym, who is the climbing gym staff? Is there an adaptive sport organization there that maybe doesn't provide adaptive climbing as part of their program, but they might want to? So how do we engage them and help train their staff so that they can provide a sustainable program in the future? We also want to set a culture of energy and excitement. And this is something that's really important to our organization, is when we show up, we want to be energetic. We want to immediately create a culture of inclusivity and excitement so that when we leave, that program continues to sustain itself. It had a great starting point with lots of energy to carry it forward into the future. And then we want to follow up and follow up and follow up. And so that may look different depending upon what type of program we're providing. If we are going there for a 3-day clinic and then we're returning in 3 months, just setting that schedule out ahead of time. Or if we're providing a training and a clinic and then we're going back, once a year to provide follow-up volunteer training. We just want to make sure that we are communicating with those folks, providing them the resources that they need to be sustainable and successful in the future. So logistics. Some of the important things to remember, as I was just saying, communication, establishing the roles and responsibilities early on so that you don't have any snafus that arise later on, including continuing the conversation. What needs are there as the program goes on? It may change. So, and also just being clear on who is responsible for what, including data, payments, who makes payments, how they make payments. For example, if we're providing a sustainable climbing gym program, is Adaptive Ventures paying the gym their card, or is that going to another organization? Just establishing all of those roles ahead of time, who's taking care of volunteer background checks, those sorts of things, so that we don't have issues that arise in the future. The other thing that we really focus on is collaboration. So making sure that as many people as possible can get involved and that the program can be successful with lots of participation, and that it doesn't peter out and then we did all of this work to set it up, but then there's not enough participation in the follow-up. And we also want to just be flexible and adapt to the different circumstances that may arise. So maybe the venue that we selected is no longer available for whatever reason, or maybe there's limitations that we didn't see within transportation to the area and folks are having a hard time getting there. Maybe there's a tollway, or the VA is no longer able to supply a bus, or the rehab hospital can't supply transportation anymore. We just want to be aware that some of the resources that we set up in the future may not be available later on. The challenges. So we always say there's always adventure at Adaptive Ventures. So, from equipment needs, vehicle needs, trailer issues, pretty much every time we're on the road and providing a program, we're getting flat tires. We may have, all kinds of issues that arise with our vehicles or trailers. A trailer might start on fire, as it did this last year. You just never know what you're going to encounter. So just being prepared and having the right equipment and the right resources for your staff so that they don't get into a sticky situation. There will always be more admin work. So making sure that you have somebody that is designated within your organization to handle some of the things that may arise on the fly that need to be taken care of in regards to relationships with the partners, the venues that you're working with, data that need to be entered, and so forth. And then there will always be a few squirrels. So when we go and we provide programs and services in areas that we're not used to running programs, that we get people excited, and sometimes we can overexcite people, and then they want to start more and do more, and maybe that creates some mission creep. So just kind of being aware that putting those roles and responsibilities out first and explaining the mission of your organization and what you would like to see and provide is very important to make sure that you don't run into issues in the future where you might have people asking you to go outside of your mission. And then the other piece of that is fundraising. So, who is fundraising in that area? For example, if we are going to provide a program, say with Ability 360 Sport and Fitness Center in Arizona, we don't want to be fundraising in their backyard and or have any of the other partners doing that for the team and then creating some conflicts. So we want to make sure that those roles and responsibilities are clearly defined ahead of time so that we don't run into negative issues. And then dealing with potentially challenging personalities. So when we're training people and we're identifying the points of contact and who's going to be running a sustainable programming, we want to make sure that it's somebody that aligns with our mission, values, and goals within our organization, but then also is somebody that will be present a positive image for both their organization and our organization in the future while we're running those programs. So here we've got a picture of one of our partners. His name is Hugh, and he's actually works for Esperanza Bike Shop in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he comes on the road with us. He's a veteran himself, and he comes on the road and helps provide services with us, helps maintain our fleet as we're traveling, provides SAG support on some of our cycling rides. And so the key here that I'm trying to make is that we really like to collaborate as much as possible with folks who have different skill sets. And then we also like to build up mentors and ambassadors within our own programs. So we travel with a lot of participant mentors and ambassadors and help them to acquire the skills and knowledge while on the road with our staff to help to facilitate programs in other areas in the future. So as I said, creating sustainability. Relationships is a big piece. So focusing on building up our volunteers, mentors, and partners, and really continuing that work as we go along within the program. Even if the program is a year or two old, we want to make sure that we're always introducing new folks into the program and helping to go back and train more volunteers and recruit more participants so that that program can stay sustainable. Defining the roles and responsibilities and sticking to them. So this is very important, like I said before, multiple times in the MOUs and the creation of the programs, making sure that we have it clearly defined ahead of time so that we can have it be a sustainable program and not fall apart in the future. And then resources, making sure that we set the programs up for success. What do we have budgeted to provide those programs? What equipment do we provide off of the bat? Do we have enough equipment and resources for equipment to really set it up for success from the get-go? And who is going to be that point of contact that really goes between our organization and the other organizations and provides the program on a regular basis? So now I would like to open it up for questions quick. To be able to answer any questions that you may have regarding creating remote and sustainable programming.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. So the first question that we have is, do you charge the organizations that you collaborate with to bring your program there?
It really depends. In most situations, we have a grant source of funding or other funding set aside. We actually plan all of our programs a year to a year and a half in advance. So I'm typically looking at those funding sources way in advance so that we do not have to provide to charge for those services.
Great. And a follow-up to that is, do participants pay?
For our programs, no. So our organization, our philosophy is that we do not charge for our programs. They are free of charge with the exception of some high-end adventure ski camps that we provide.
Great, thank you. Right now, that appears to be all the questions that we have. Oh, hold on, we're getting more in. Sorry. So do you require a minimum number of participants?
So that is something that we try to establish ahead of time with a goal of how many we would like to serve. So, it depends on the type of program that we're providing. If we're providing a program like, say, a climbing program and a climbing gym, we want to make sure that we usually have a target number of around 10 participants. If it's a cycling program, we may be able to provide more. We've had on the road cycling programs where we've had, up to 60 participants in 1 3-day session. So it really kind of depends on what type of program we're providing, who we're working with, and what kind of their desires and goals are for the program. But we really want to make sure that if we're traveling across the country or we are, providing these programs on a regular basis remotely, that we are making it sustainable and having enough people to make it worthwhile.
So a very topical question. Are you planning next year's events right now, or is that on hold due to the COVID-19 crisis?
We are planning next year's events as if we are going forward regularly, but we as an organization have actually been providing all of our programs online virtually for the moment. We actually ran our 100th virtual program yesterday, and one of the silver linings through running the virtual programming is we've actually been able to bring together our community from across the country in one place. And so we have had the opportunity to really gather the folks that we provide services to 1 to 6, 10 times a year into one location on a regular basis.
Great. Ronald wanted to know if you bring your program to university campuses.
We have, yes. So we do a lot of specifically climbing programs with universities that have climbing walls in their facilities. We've also done, one of the things that I didn't explain very well is we have like a mobile climbing wall. We have our trailers set up with, up to 75 adaptive bicycles in them. So we can really go and provide our programs wherever we want in parking lots or parks, what have you, as far as where we want to go. And then if we're creating a sustainable program, such as what we've done in Puerto Rico, where we purchased a trailer and cycles and arranged for a volunteer to run that program, then that's kind of up to the discrepancy of that program, whether they want to travel to, like, say, a university to provide the program there.
Great. Do you offer any ski programs in the East, and do you provide coaching for racers?
So we don't typically within our organization provide specifically coaching for racers, but we do partner with some adaptive ski programs on the East Coast. Specifically, our Adaptive Sports Lead, Chris Warhane, does a lot of training and helps to continue to provide additional resources to programs. So he may go out and actually provide instruction for the program. And we've done things like going and actually taking our trailer out and providing a training to other agencies, or just providing on-mountain support. But our typical ski programs, we actually have one that runs on a regular basis at Wilmot Mountain in Wisconsin. And then we have an adventure ski program where we partner with other adaptive sport agencies across the country to provide week-long ski camps.
Excellent. Kelly was wondering, when you reach out to new potential communities, is that a formal or informal process? And if it's formal, what does that look like?
So typically, folks are usually reaching out to us, and that's just getting in contact with me or one of our program staff and saying, hey, we'd like you to come out and serve this area. Sometimes it's intentional, like each year I specifically look at kind of where the Move United chapters are throughout the country, where some of the VA Adaptive Sport Grant recipients are, and I kind of map out where some of the areas that seem underserved. and I reach out to those areas. So it's kind of a combination of us being intentional as an organization and maybe being strategic if we're going. So like, for example, we do a tour where we go from Albuquerque to El Paso to Houston to Oklahoma City and back to Denver. Or it may be just people reaching out to us as we're kind of on the road. So some of the national events, we may meet people and they ask, oh man, we'd love this program. And so they can reach out to us after that, and we will try to put them into our plans for the next year.
Great. Do you provide personalized equipment for each participant?
So in the delivery of the program, so when we're on the site, obviously we're fitting people, making sure that they get put into the appropriate adaptive sport equipment. If you're talking about helping them to acquire equipment, we do in some aspects. So if they're a VA participant and they qualify for being scripted a piece of equipment, our staff is very well versed in that process, and so we will help the VA rec therapist to select the appropriate equipment and prescribe that piece of equipment. If it's a civilian participant, we have a lot of resources. We actually keep kind of a running list of resources for people to get equipment, and our staff will help to identify what type of equipment they need to apply for those grants.
That's great. Russ is wondering if you partner with other on-site agencies for different sports, something like Nordic.
For our organization specifically, we don't do a whole lot of Nordic skiing. Typically the programs that we're providing are in cycling, climbing, paddle sports, kayaking, paddle boarding, dragon boat racing, water skiing, and skiing. And then we do a few other sports, but those are typically the main programs that we are running with remote partners.
That's great. I think this one you might have already covered, but do you partner with summer camps?
Yes. So we are really flexible in the way that we provide services. So we've actually partnered with other outdoor recreation programs or adaptive sport agencies that are providing a camp already. And then we just help to enhance that. For example, we partner with Adaptive Sport Program New Mexico, and they provide multi-day water sports camps for veterans and civilians at Ute Lake and Elephant Butte. And so we come with our trailer of kayaking and paddleboarding equipment and a few of our staff to help enhance that program by providing more resources and equipment and staffing. And so that helps to facilitate that camp. And then every year we have a conversation about whether or not they still would like us to come down and provide those services. And so far our partnership has been going for several years.
That's great. Guys, unfortunately, we're running out of time here. We might have time for one more question, and this tackles a couple of people's questions. How do you guys handle liability insurance when partnering with other organizations?
So typically we implement our process through our Move United waivers and intake forms. So we have kind of a simplified version of our intakes, and then we utilize our Move United waivers. And so we have some tracking documents and stuff that we keep hold of, and we make it really clear in our MOU that the partner that we're partnering with is responsible for making sure that those get filled out appropriately in the manner that the Adaptive Ventures staff would ensure in the same way.
Great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. I'd like to remind everybody that the slide and the recording of the video will be available on our website. And in the chat, you'll see a link for a survey that as you exit Zoom, you'll be in there. So please let us know if you have any feedback, and also stay involved in the conversation and share your thoughts throughout the conference on social media by using the hashtag MoveUnited. Thank you so much.
Thank you.